Welcome to the Healthy Metal Hippie podcast, where art and wellness collide. I'm your host, Ashley, and I am so excited to connect with you today. Now, let's jump into today's episode, ready to rock and with an open heart. Well, hi, and welcome back to the Healthy Metal Hippie. Today, I am so excited and delighted to have Nicole and Sebastian with us. They are coming to us from Germany right now, and actually, they bring with them a very, very cool story. They're both musicians, and they're both touring, and they're both in love. And I love it, with each other, that is. And so thank you so much for being here today, Nicole. You know, we met last year at your show in London, and I'm really excited to come see you again in London. And it just, every time I look at your schedule that it pops up, I'm kind of like, okay, how does she do this? Because I feel like you're constantly on tour. So do you guys want to just share briefly with everybody a little bit about what you do?
Just in its first so that's kind of and I'm pretty much just going places where I can go, which at the beginning of the year was 2 weeks Scandinavia, but now mostly Germany with 3 days on the road, a couple of days home, and then again on the road because most of the shows still are on the weekends and just underground rock and roll stuff.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, everybody loves underground rock and roll. And you know what? And people get really, really connected to it, which kind of makes it some of like the most special moments, I think, when you go to those underground shows and then you just, it's a different kind of vibe. And I love it. So
that's why we met.
This is okay. Good.
Yeah.
You're there. I want to know how you met. Tell me the love story.
You want to tell how we met?
It actually ties into wellness because
does it?
It does because I was with the Darts last summer doing another 100 days, and it was towards the end of the tour, and I also do all the merch for the band. So after every show, I'm selling merch to like all these people. Talk. After sing, talk. It's a lot. And most people come to merch and they're like, oh, the band is good, la, la, la. So we're playing in Karlsruhe, Germany. And he had walked in the bar and we kind of knew who he was because he does work for Vox guitars and stuff. And my guitar player at the time in the Darts was also sponsored by Vox. And she was like, that's the Vox guy. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. That's nice. But he comes up to me at merch and he doesn't like say what everybody else says. He goes, why are you not resting your voice? Why are you selling merch? Like, that's a really good question. And that's how we met.
Aww.
Yeah, that basically that was the first I think that the connection of being a singer, and I had a huge breakdown of my complete voice a couple of years back, and I had to go through a lot of therapy to get it back to a level where I could perform without pain and without anything. And I met with a couple of professors for voice treatment and blah blah blah, and did all the crazy stuff. I don't know the English words for but yeah. So it was just impulsive. I came in, I saw her talking, I was like, what are you doing? Go backstage and rest your voice. You do this after the show. And she was like, no, and she answered in a funny way, and it was like kind of a test to her hardworking persona and attitude, which directly translated, and I was like, this little woman is crazy.
But like in the best way, though,
Yeah. mean, it was kind of the admiration for how hard she works started there, I think.
And I mean, yeah, and I can understand that. I think I have to be honest, that is one thing that always stands out, is like just you guys go nonstop. And I work with some artists and give like, do coaching and how to grow a fan base and all this kind of stuff. And when I could use you as like the textbook example, like this is what you should fucking be doing. So like, go follow the darts. Go follow Nicole if you're not. Like,
I don't know. I don't know if it's what you should be. Like, not everybody agrees with that.
No, but you know what?
People associated with the band that maybe think it's not being always done right. But so I don't know.
I don't know if there's exactly a right way, but
there's no blueprint.
You put yourself out there, which I think is the hardest part of it all, right? And it does.
It's also hard. Yeah, I mean, you put yourself out there, and you have to decide how much of your personal life to put out there too. That's a whole other question that both of us are trying to figure out. Like, what do we do with that?
Yeah. So you've been together like for, I guess, just over a year then, yeah?
We started talking exactly a year ago.
It's today's the 17th when we're doing this.
No.
17th of September, and I think the date was 19th of September last year, and 20th or something like that.
Crazy. That's a whole year. So we kind of been talking a lot the first 6 months out, and then finally I convinced him.
You convinced him.
Come to Seattle. Come to Seattle. And he finally broke down. He's like, okay, I'll come to Seattle. So we had this crazy 7-day test, like a blind date in Seattle. Like fly across the country, fly across the ocean, come to a place that you have no contacts but me.
Yeah.
Stay in my tiny little house where there's no privacy at all, and let's try it for 7 days.
and yeah. So basically that's what it was. We started texting for half a year and video calls, and like even to engage with the first video call was like
it's a big deal.
We're doing this, and it was weird. But it was a kind of falling in love thing, I think. And, and at some point
falling in love.
I don't know what it was. But yeah, at some point the conversation broke down to, I think I said, and she reminded me of this. It's not like I want to highlight that, but she reminded me. She's like, you said somewhere along the lines that you would really love to come to Seattle and take me out for a couple of bars and buy me dinner, and we would have this nice night. And I was like, yeah. And then at some point she just said, why don't you just do it? And I was like, yeah, well, because, and this, and the plane, and the flights, and blah. And she's like, it's only this and this amount of, the flight's not that expensive. And then I looked it up, and I was like, yeah, it's really not that. We got a good deal. And she's like, so what's up? You want me to buy the tickets? I'll pay for the tickets.
That's the way my brain works. Let's just do stuff.
Exactly. Oh,
and,
yeah.
And when she said that, there was like the coin dropped. I don't know if that is English expression. Well,
I think that,
yeah.
Like
similar something. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was
the penny drops. Yeah.
The penny drops. That's what we said.
Yeah.
Exactly. That made me just realize, why don't you just fucking go?
Yes.
And I was like, okay, it's only this and this couple of €100. I can spare that right now. I'm coming. And I got on the plane, and the moment I landed in Seattle, I was like, what are you doing? Still on the plane, getting, like, we're going on a 1-week blind date from this first encounter, and we have a plan on staying 3 days in a strange city, and then we had a plan to drive down 2 days the whole Pacific coastline together.
Because I was going to be leaving on tour, and so I was like, just drive to the first tour date with me.
Right. We just make a 2-day road trip from Seattle to San Francisco, a part of this 7-day blind date. It's going to be great. Everybody, and the both of us were like, yeah, what can go wrong?
Yeah. But I mean, so there you go. Nothing went wrong. It was fabulous.
Nothing. Not only did it not go wrong, it was like every day was like perfect. And how often does that happen in your life, right? And by the end, we were just like locked in, and like he even a month later came back to Seattle again. And
Mhm.
like, it's just been great. It's been like a dream.
It's, you know, it can be hard to navigate being long distance sometimes. Like just before we were recording, you know, of course, I was telling you, and you know, my boyfriend actually, which is so funny too. But
Yeah, you guys have
um,
a lot of shows in Boston and a lot of places. Yeah.
yeah, but it's funny because we met like on a fitness challenge,
What?
and yeah, no, I'm not joking. And we were just like friends, and it was like whatever. I was married when we met, right?
Wow.
And I don't know, just like we just talked, and then I don't know, after my divorce and everything, I was like, oh shit, like, I think I love you, and we'd never met in person. And he came over for
It's a
a
great lyric.
three
Oh shit.
week.
I think I love you.
Okay, write it down. I'll take writer's cred. But yeah, he came for like a 3 week blind date, and it was. I mean, I was fucking terrified. Okay, I was like, you know, we did our video calls and everything like that too. We talk like constantly. Um, but when it came down to it, I was like, yes, like I want you to come. And, you know, he'd be like, are you sure you want me to come? And I'm like, yes. And I'm like, well,
Yep.
yeah, no, I do. Okay.
It
Yes,
was
no,
exactly the
just
same.
do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, but then, I mean, now we've been together. I mean, well, I guess in February, kind of, it'll be like 3 years. So, um, it works, you know?
You
Nice.
can make stuff work. I mean, I don't know. It's not easy, but nothing's easy. Nothing worthwhile
No,
is easy. There you go.
exactly. And I think, you know, I really think that as time goes on, relationships don't have to look a certain way, even though, you know, in the past it has to be whatever, like living together, you know, dad goes off to work and mom stays home with, like, the shit doesn't apply in any sense anymore, you know. And it's nice to be able to like make your own rules around what happiness and what a relationship looks like for you.
Yeah, and especially with the whole touring thing, it really looks weird for us sometimes, but it makes sense somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we had I think this summer was a good example, I think, because we looked at the schedule and we knew when this started in March and we felt so strongly about this whole thing. We knew that her year was already set and just as my year was already set.
Yeah.
So we said, all right, let's be rational about this and let's not try to force anything. Let's just see where there's opportunity, where you are in Europe at what time. I mean, would be cool if it would be Germany,
Yeah.
or it would be easier for me. But then she toured in some places in Germany that are not really my favorite places to
Right.
just hang out. And so I had some great times in Finland and in Norway, and I have some friends there, and I wanted to get back to them as well. And I said, all right, so rather than going to these places in Germany where I don't know anyone or where I'm not like, all right, yeah, great, let's spend some time there. Let's rather meet in Helsinki. Let's rather meet in Turku. Let's meet in Oslo,
Mm-hmm.
because there's just, you know. And then she's like, okay, I have an off day here too that will work, so you wouldn't be like just the idiot carrying merch around. You know?
Yeah. Oh,
So
and that's so nice though.
It really,
yeah,
it's I think as a touring musician, you get into this, like he was saying, when you're on the road for like say 2 weeks straight, you get into this rhythm where you're in the van and then you're at the show, and then you're in the van and then you're show, and you kind of forget about the world. And then to have him come to the shows or just be in the city and go like van show, oh wait, love, that can be part of it too. And he helps me with everything. And but then even beyond that, like it's so nice to like get back to the hotel and just hang out together after the
Yeah.
show in some weird country. It's really interesting. And we can kind of take care of each other and recharge and talk, and then the next day we start again, so it's really neat.
So yeah, so when you get back after a night after a show, then yeah, it's nice to just have that space to like wind down and then connect with each other. I can imagine how wonderful that is. You have like a safe space in a way to come home to after.
It's so different. It changes the entire experience for me. Just I don't know, especially when you're with somebody who lives that life too and they understand it, and you come back after a show and he's like, I know you need this, and I know you need that, and here's what I need. And it's like, we both can relate to this. We've both been in relationships before, and there's a lot of people out there who don't understand this life and don't understand what singers do and don't understand and it's not just singers. I mean, the other thing that we have in common is he runs everything himself.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I run the band pretty much, other than the booking. I do a lot myself too, almost all of it. And so we have that was one of the reasons we connected, is we run the business side completely alone. And he gets that, and he sees what I do and I see what he does. And there's part of being well is having somebody who understands that side of you, I think, because you feel really validated in your concerns and your fears and your joys. And you can't really share that with other people that aren't in it as easily.
Yeah. And I think the second part of that, I agree on everything she said, but the second thing that comes in is like, okay, shut up. No more music now. No more music now. No more music now. I want to know. Tell me what your mom thought about the tennis match between blah blah blah. Give me this non-music related. I want to hear nothing of music right now. Because sometimes you need that to get away from it, and sometimes you see that the other person maybe doesn't see that the person needs it, and then she can drag me away from it, or I can drag her away from it, and you see how it instantly calms the other person down.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, you think about, just say you had a corporate job or whatever, you come home, you don't want to sit and talk about work the whole night. I think people would probably go, oh, but it's music. It's so cool and so glamorous and so fun. And you're just like, no, but like, you need a break too. And
the business side of music is definitely not cool. It's a lot of accounting and all the stuff that you have to do all the time. And it's really, I think it's maybe especially having been in other jobs, this job breaks your heart over and over. There's a lot of rejection. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of like putting yourself out there and your songs and your soul, and you're trying so hard, and people don't answer and they say no. And there's a lot of that at every level all the time. And so the business end is really hard.
Do you think, like, does it help you guys become more resilient being together? So when you get those rejections, or, you just, maybe your show wasn't as great as you wanted it to be, having each other to like lean on and, empathize with your experience, does that help?
It helps me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I think the danger is that we start comparing, like, well, my show was crappy because there were only 50 people, or my show was crappy because there were only 20 people that,
Right. You're going to outshit each other.
Yeah. Like, who can outshit the other one? Because our lives are hard.
Yeah.
And so there's some of that, but we're starting to recognize that we do that sometimes. And now that's a good learning moment where we're like, let's not do that.
Yeah. Because I think it's natural for anyone in any part of life that you are looking at some other person, if it's your friend, your family, your partner, it doesn't matter, but just some dude, that you start comparing yourself to whatever you see. That's just human, I think. Mm-hmm. This guy's walking crazy. Am I walking crazy, or is he walking crazy? This is just basic human behavior, trying to figure stuff out.
It's true.
And I think I walk stupid. Every time I see myself walk, I'm like, well, how do you walk?
You're fine.
No. So I think the rejection part, to cancel it out, well, I have to learn stuff a lot in this, and I'm trying to improve in this just for myself, because this is something you got to do yourself. How to deal with the rejection, and you have to figure out a way to not take it personal, to not what was the word, project
Project it.
your stuff to the other person, and the other way around. It's like, you're different. It's not, your world is different. The Dracu world is not the darts world, is not the Black Viiolet world, just as the Black Viiolet world is not the darts world, is not the Dracu world.
Yeah.
You know, so
all different experiences for sure.
Yeah. And you kind of, and you don't have to, and that's also important, what I just learned the last couple of days. You don't always have to succeed by being able to handle the rejection level between you and your partner perfectly. Right. Sometimes you can, and that's where she's great at. I don't know if I am, but I can only speak about her in this regard. She gives me the security to sometimes speak my mind when something really pisses me off that I cannot like perfectly communicate without offending her. It's like, sometimes you just gotta blow off that steam, and to have the security to sometimes do it, that's really an attribute where she's incredible at, and I'm so thankful that she has that. And I don't know if I have that, but yeah,
he's German. He can handle the anger.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah. A lot of people can't handle the venting that we do. I think as artists, there's a lot of venting. There's crying. There's yelling. There's a lot of it's hard. And people don't know. I don't know if we don't show that on the social media, but you don't see us crying on our social media.
No.
Or on stage, which is even more important. Yeah.
But it happens a lot. I mean, first of all, I think we are artists because we're sort of passionate and intense. And then when you translate that into the business side, where there's a lot of rejection and there's a lot of competition and difficult things out there in the world, it hurts. And you need to vent that to somebody, and our families are sick of it. They don't want to hear about it,
right?
But to have somebody who's living it too, that's pretty cool. And then we were like, okay, vent. Okay, now we're gonna watch a movie about knights and warriors and not talk about this.
Yeah, but I think that's the secret too. Like, you vent, right? The vent is the release, right? And but then you don't have to fucking dwell on it all day. You can just it's out, it's done, it's over. Movie, just like you say. That's
a learning process. I don't think a lot of artists starting out know that or value that, but
and I think if you dwell on it too, I think you just hold yourself back in the future. Right? Because you just get stuck in that mentality without just moving past it. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's tough, but it's like, it's nice though that sharing in those experiences together, it makes it, I don't know, it just makes it special. And it, because you do understand those unique situations that you have, I think in a lot of ways that would make your relationship stronger because of it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially when you see, like, I realized if I'm in a situation where I realized, oh, you said something that you would be totally pissed off about when I learned a new word, vent, like from from ventile, from blow up, right?
Yeah, from blow up.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. See, German learns.
Okay.
So when I kind of can do that, and I was scared that it might be too much and I might hurt her.
Yeah.
But then I just take a little of that confidence and just blur it out, and I'm like, and she doesn't kill me for it, and I realize, see, it wasn't that hard. And she's actually coming back and saying, no, it was good. You said it that way, so I get it. I'm like, yeah, don't. I'm sorry, this sounds so wrong, but don't be too soft with her. There's a German expression.
We don't tiptoe around. You don't have to tiptoe around.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and that's it. I think maybe being more direct.
Yeah, be open. Just be open.
Yeah.
There's a difference between being open and direct and being a fucking asshole.
Yes. Oh my God. Exactly. And that's a fine line. Some people just do not get, right?
Most people don't get it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to be polite. Maybe I shouldn't. I'm being too soft. See? Oh God. It's true though. Just be direct. Like, whatever it may be. And yeah, you don't have to be a dick about it. But yeah, too many people.
Generally, I have a hard time with confrontation and telling people what I really think. But it's nice to have somebody that I can go, here's what I really think,
And but then you feel safe in that situation too. Yeah.
And he can help me readjust my thinking and then go back out into the world and handle it in a better way,
Yes.
And we do that for each other, I think, really, really, really well.
That makes me really happy because it just, it just seems like you enrich each other's lives, and I'm a sucker for a good love story. Okay, so
it's a pretty good love story.
They're going to be making a movie about you later.
Oh, I hope not. Oh God.
Maybe, like the love story. I mean, it'll be like a romantic love story.
Micromanaging that shit like crazy.
Yeah, you would. They just won't tell you it's about you.
Yeah.
So funny. So when, you mentioned how you, after shows, you kind of take care of each other. And I can imagine that being away from home for extended periods or just all of the traveling, it can be really hard to maintain your health, your physical health. And I don't know. And too, do you ever get homesick and things like that? It's, how do you cope with all of it?
Good you're asking, because I was asking myself that if she gets homesick the last days.
I've moved recently in the last couple of years and shifted my life around in the US. So my home is just me. And yeah, I get to the point where I'm like, where I live in Seattle is like surrounded by water and nobody. And I sometimes I miss that, being a hermit.
Right. Yeah.
That's the part I miss, I think. If I miss anything, it's just you don't have a lot of privacy when you're touring.
No.
And even when you were touring and you did the Scandinavia thing last March, and it was very intense. And I think even you were like, after a couple of days, you're like, oof.
Yeah, at some point it's like this. Oh, I'm glad there's my couch, but I think that is different from this pure homesickness where you're really suffering because you want to get back home.
Yeah.
I don't actually have that. It's just when it's foreseeable. It's like, okay, your work is gonna be done in the next 3 days, and you can finally get it. It's more like you're excited to go back home. That's what it is.
Excited to just rest. I think that's the biggest
thing. And so when you have
4 days off right now on this 100-day thing, happen to have these 4 days off. It's just this crazy thing, the way it worked out. The rest of the darts are back in the US. My Black Viiolet tour ended, and I have these 4 days. And so, of course, the first thing I do is fly to Germany, get there as fast as I can so I can just look at this couch. Like, oh, yay. Couches and movies and food and him.
And the spa.
And the spa in Baden-Baden, yeah. Like, this is... it's really...
And the Black Forest and the air and everything. I mean, this is a good refuge, yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. Do you spend a lot of time to get into nature then? If you enjoy living by the water, and do you like spending time outside just to kind of reconnect, get grounded again?
Well, I'm prouding myself with being the godfather of Black Forest rock and roll.
Yes.
Which is absolutely stupid.
That's his tagline, right?
That's
yes.
But I'm from the Black Forest, and I love the forest more than people think that. And I'm not doing it to sell shirts or anything or make cool stickers or sound cool because Black Forest is a big hashtag. No, I actually can spend 5-6 hours a day in the woods.
Well, you lived in the woods during the pandemic. I saw where you lived, and it's like
there's nothing there. It's the forest.
It's like The Sound of Music, like the movie. like rolling everything in the woods
Yes.
and everything. He was like in this little place for years, you know. So yeah,
for a year. For basically
a year.
For a year.
Long damn
No,
time.
and it was great. And still we're here looking outside that window. There's the forest starting right there. So yeah, no, Nicole brought this up the other day because I had a boxer, a dog back then,
Yeah.
and I would stroll the woods with him for 3 hours every day, rain, snowstorms, no matter what.
Yeah.
Boxer and I roaming the woods, and that
Oh.
just cleans you up in here and
Yes.
straightens you out.
Yeah.
So, and now, I don't know if Nicole's so much of a we haven't done much hiking.
I'm not much of an outdoorsy person.
Yeah, she loves though, because this is a very old spa town, Baden-Baden.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
2000-year-old Roman spa town. So we have all the baths with the thermal
It's
water and
amazing.
everything, and she
So
loves
nice.
that, of course. So,
doesn't?
Yeah.
Who doesn't
No,
love that?
obviously. How could you not love it?
But then when he
Oh.
came to Seattle too, like even though it's not like we weren't hiking and doing outdoorsy stuff really, but right by the water there, I try and walk almost every day along this like rocky beach
Yeah.
into this little patch of woods and back to the house, and I run. And yeah, I think we were just saying yesterday how nice it is to just go out on the back porch and just look at Puget Sound, and like occasionally maybe there's a whale. I don't know ever actually,
Right.
but like it's just so purifying to kind of let that happen and not be in a city.
Yeah. Oh,
We play in
absolutely.
cities. We play in
Yeah,
dive bars.
I don't
We
need
play
to
in
live in a
bars,
city,
bars,
no.
bars, bars, bars,
Yeah.
bars. The last thing we want to do on our day off is go to
A bar.
listen to music at a bar. That's the
Yeah.
last thing. You know? Like,
Yeah, of course.
Let's stare at the water. That's nice.
Yeah, and just I think too, like sometimes just that solitude and the quiet, it's just it's
Yeah,
restorative.
that's part of it too, is we have to rest our ears and our brains and our
Mhm.
socialness, you know. We have to
Yeah, recharge that battery,
yeah.
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
Yeah.
to piggyback on what my professor said, back when I studied popular music, he used to say the opposite of culture is nature. And it was like
Mhm.
something so obvious that it was like I never realized it that way. And just to see the whole the sheer difference of the cognitive impulses you get, like you're not having stage lights in your face, you're not having the phone light in your face, you're not hearing sound of electric guitars and kick drums and snares and people talking, and like the whole, you don't smell the sweaty people in the bar or the stinky beer rug
Shucks.
for the drum riser. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you smell the woods, you see the natural light, the natural colors of nature, you hear different sounds, and it's like it clears out your brain. And I always relate to it from, because I have this relation to this, I can relate to it from being on drugs and being sober. It's like it makes that much of a difference.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's another thing that we haven't really talked about, but like I gave up alcohol a few years ago. I went vegan. I exercise a lot more, and I continue all that on tour too.
Yeah.
So that's, and
Yeah.
you're pretty clean living also, you know, like I think you reach a point in your life where you're like, I've got to start taking care of my body,
Yeah.
you know, and that helps the brain too. obviously.
Absolutely. When did you what was there something that like prompted you to make some of those changes, or was it
I
just
was
like I'm
going
done?
down the depression funnel of
Yeah.
hell. And I think when you're naturally kind of, you tend to that direction, alcohol can really intensify it when there's too much of it. And I was just seeing that pattern over and over and over. And I was like, this is bad for me. I know this is bad for me. You know,
Yeah.
what's life going to be like? I had given up alcohol for like a month here, a month there, just to try it. And I knew it's not that like I needed it every day, but like it's so much a part of our lives,
Yeah.
especially what we do.
Yeah.
I mean, basically in a bar, when we're playing, we're just beer salesmen. That's what we are, you know, like the
Yeah,
more
in
beer
a
that we
way.
sell, the more they're going to pay us at the end.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, it's really tied in to everything,
Mhm.
but it's also our families, and it's everywhere. Everybody's like, have a glass of wine, you know, and
Like,
it's,
I'm good.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really hard to to disconnect from that culture and just do my thing, where I'm like, yeah, I'll have a Diet Coke, and then after the show, I'm going to go back to the hotel because there's nothing for me here. I'm not going to stay and party,
Yeah. I mean, deny a beer as a German male. That's one.
Sacrilege.
You will have, and you will get that with the Brits, I think, as well.
Oh, yeah.
But then again, you want to be a rock and roll dude, and you deny a beer, and oh my God, there's shit raining down on you so much. It's incredible.
Really?
Yeah. So, but I had the point where I had the breakdown of like when my voice broke down completely when I was about 25 or something, 26, 27 maybe 27. I don't even remember, because there was a whole lot of substance abuse and a whole lot of mental issues, and like just too much being in university and on the road constantly and having this being put on this high pedestal, and you put yourself there, and then it all comes crashing down at some point. And I just had a feeling like my chords weren't chords; they were razor blades crashing each other constantly. And so I had to go through a whole rehab of a voice rehab, basically. Like really intense voice rehab, like not speaking for 3 weeks straight, not even doing nothing, not moving the chords for 3 weeks. And then I really got into that, and I had to sober up and all of the stuff. And and when you have like a history like that reminds you constantly of where do you, like, there were points I don't want to ever go back to those points in my life. Exactly. So, and then the fun thing that we do, or that I think, because I'm too intense, I get too deep into shit. And with these voice recovery exercises and tricks, and what the healthcare situation for the voice, and not only the chords, but also the
rib cage.
The what?
The rib cage.
Like the thing that's inside that moves your
diaphragm.
The diaphragm.
Your diaphragm, yeah.
Like there's exercises for this and treatment for that, and I learned from some really good professors, and I've been in good programs, and I learned a lot of that stuff. And I got excited about it at some point, doing those extra. And when I met her, and I told her that I know a couple of those things.
I've never had a voice lesson. I've never done anything except scream on a punk band. I don't have any clue. So this was really interesting.
Yeah, and she was like, "Oh, this is interesting. Tell me about it." And I got excited about telling her about it, and then she started doing some of this, and blah blah blah.
And I'll tell you what, this is the first tour I've ever done, 60 days straight so far, where I didn't lose my voice.
Oh, see, it is working. Oh,
yeah.
So yeah,
it's been. I think the wellness thing is. It's very global with us, like it's the physical part of taking care of your body. And like when we're together at night, he might have a beer with dinner or whatever, but basically we come back and we're like drinking tea. That's our life, we're taking care of ourselves. It feels good. I don't know,
but I think I think there is a big shift though, where people in music, they're really kind of going more towards wellness, sobriety, all kinds of things like that. Yeah. And you know what? Yeah, some. But I see there's definitely more than there were, say, like 20 years ago, right? That people are like, no, I'm sober, I am clean, I'm vegan, look at me run, look at me do this, look at me. And you're like, and a lot of people talking about mental health and how it's changed their life. Like, you want to be like a real rock star, then you want to have that stamina and that vitality. That's what people really dream of when they think, ooh, I want to be a rock star, right? They don't think I want to be like vomiting, coked out, whatever mess, right?
Yeah, and I think you crossing now we're crossing an important line, I think, because it doesn't mean you can't have one thing without the other.
Yeah.
It's the coolest thing to be in a great situation, in having played it. Like for me, it's the end of the tour gig. When
Yeah.
I'm on the end of the tour gig, I get fucked up. like when I want to, but not necessarily though. If
Right.
it's like a cool end of the tour moment, and you're at a cool venue, you're with a bunch of friends, it's a cool city, it's a cool vibe, and you want to have a beer, and you're like, oh, this beer tastes good tonight. Fuck it, have 4 more. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't, you know, just don't strangle yourself, and don't put yourself under a pressure. No, don't do this tonight because it will be bad, because that just generates stress from inside. And I think it's when you play at the level that we play at, you got to treat what you do just as a professional athlete treats his profession.
Yeah,
you got to take care of your
absolutely.
fingers, of your arms, of your lung volume, so you can go through the night and everything. And it's just
very athletic.
Yeah,
right? That's exactly the word.
it's training. You got to train. I got to stretch my fingers, because I had problems with my fingers the last year. Terrible, like I never had in my life. And I was like, yeah, maybe start stretching and take care of your fingers, because the level you play guitar on is not a hobby level, you know?
Yeah.
So treat it with more horse lotion.
There's lotion here that's called horse lotion.
We have this lotion.
You've seen me play. I throw my leg over the farfisa, right?
Yeah.
I've been doing that for a long time, and this leg is starting to feel it. So
Right.
I have to come back from shows and like stretch and like, it's like being an athlete, and you don't think about that stuff. I mean, when people are starting out in rock music,
Yeah. And they're
thinking about the fun, but it's a job. It's work.
It is work. It's interesting for me because I like to have a gin and tonic at night, like pretty much every night.
My mom too, for drink.
Love a good gin, I'm not gonna lie. And but I've never been really deep into drinking, period, though. Like when I moved to England, I definitely started to drink a lot more than I had. And that, other influences that, probably pushed that along. After my divorce, I was still drinking a bit. And, but then I just was like, cut it right back. So yeah, gin here and there. But I think you're right. You still have to find balance with everything and still celebrate as you want to, even if it means like having a couple beers or a few extra gins.
The vegan pizza end of the tour.
Vegan pizza. Oh, so good. Yeah, I think that's fair though, because it is, it's hard work. You need to like refuel yourself. I love that.
You need to figure out how you work, and whatever works for you, I guess, is fine. Like, I remember when I started being 20, 21, I was having 5 beers and 3 gin tonics before every gig, because I thought that was the rock and roll shit I had to do. And then I started to figure out, wait, alcohol is draining fluid from your body, and you need to have chords that are soft and wet from the inside. And if you drain it all the way, and if alcohol pulls down your excitement level and you overpower and you blow your chords, of course you're gonna have problems, and your chord's gonna hurt the next day. It's just simple stuff. And I think it's just a pressure. It's just a pressure thing in general.
Social.
It's social pressure. It's pressure you put on yourself. And I realized at some point years back, when I was flirting with sobriety, like stone cold sobriety, that I was putting myself under pressure again. Like, no, now what? You're afraid of having a beer, of drinking beer? This is stupid. You put yourself, be at ease. And when you feel like having 1 beer and then go home, have 1 beer and go home. If you feel like having 10 beers because you reached something, you accomplished something in your life, you powered out, and you've been all right for like a couple of weeks, haven't drank a zip, and now is a night where you feel like having 10 beer, have 10 beer. You're gonna regret it tomorrow, but might as well,
But if it feels right tonight. Yeah.
It's different for everybody, for sure.
It is.
For me, going to the 0 point was really good, and it keeps me solid, and I really believe in it, and I feel good. I feel better, and
it's important, I think. Believe in it.
I believe in it, like I think it's the right thing for me.
If you believe it's good for you, you do it, and it turns out being good for you, you got it.
Win. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I'm the craziest rider for bands, like I have Diet Coke and hot tea with almond milk, people are like, what are you doing? But there's no M&Ms, there's nothing, there's no food on here. I'm like, no, protein shakes and tea, and I'm fine, and that's what works for me. It doesn't work for anybody else, but that's what works for me. And I really believe that you just have to find your rhythm and go with it and not fucking care what anybody else thinks.
Yeah, and I think that's the hardest part for people sometimes, right? Like, I know.
The part is letting go of what other people think of you.
In like every aspect, whether it's what you're eating or whether you're sober or not, or how you dress or anything. It's like, just at the end of the day, nobody really cares, and if they do, they need a life. Like,
right. And I know they're judgmental everywhere in the world, but I think especially when you put yourself out there to the public, online or however, people feel very at ease about judging you.
It's easy because you're behind
you make yourself
the
a target.
Oh, yeah.
Make yourself a target. They're like, well, you're putting yourself out there. We can say whatever we want. You're doing it to yourself, and that's fine. Whatever. I don't know if I agree with that, but it happens. So you have to really be strong and go, I know who I am. I know who I am. This is who I want to be. Go, hit me, whatever.
Did you have to like kind of develop that thick skin, or were you always come at me, bro? Or was it like it took time?
It takes a lot of time. It's the hardest thing in the world to believe in yourself. That's the hardest thing in the world. And we're still figuring it out.
Yeah. I think too, even maybe you see people that seem so confident and so self-assured that
they're not.
Yeah, they're not. Not at least not all the time, right? And those, vulnerable moments you won't usually show.
Yeah. I remember when I was in university and I studied popular music, we had a lot of young people who tried to have their first go at playing themselves on a stage, right? So we had these jam sessions and blah, blah, blah. I came in already being a seasoned, a veteran of the sport, you'd say in sports. Already having had my own name for 5 years, promoting myself, playing my own music, touring, blah, blah, blah. So, and I come in with these kids and they go on stage, because they were all quite a little younger than me. And they go on stage and they play their soft acoustic guitar cover version of some pop song. And it sounded terrible. And then I'm standing in the crowd and I'm talking to somebody and somebody turns around and is like, this is disrespectful. Are you talking to this guy? I want to listen to her. I'm like, she's not doing anything that is gaining my attention because she's not playing well. That was me being 25, 26, 27. And then they were like, this is unfair. How dare you treat this? And I'm like, no, this is what you don't get. You go on stage, on a real stage, and want to play real music. This is how the world works, how the music world works. You don't go out and you don't get sugar-coated all the time and everybody's going to treat you nicely. This is, and I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just talking in a regular volume, 10 meters apart, behind, like away from the stage.
Real shows.
Like everybody does at real shows. I'm not yelling, you suck! And they were like so pissed off. And I was like, if you really feel like that is a problem, you're probably not made for the real stage out there and the real business, because you will have to deal with a lot worse than that.
People, they walk out during your set. They talk over you. They
yell over you. They whatever they do.
All of it happens. They come to the merch booth and tell you what you did wrong.
What?
All kinds of stuff happens. And you just have to go, thanks. I'll keep it in mind. Next.
Well, thanks
There's
for
not a lot we can
coming.
do.
Oh, I mean, I'm like, okay, if you didn't like a show, fine. You go off and be like, I didn't like that. But telling somebody at the merch booth, I'm like, that's embarrassing for them.
Because I think a
Oh,
lot of people in this day and age, they listen to a ton of music online,
yeah,
and I hate to say, they think they know, or let's just say this, they have very strong opinions
yeah,
about the music they like and they can read online about how that music was created and all that stuff, and then they come to you and go, you should do this like that artist did, and you should do this like this song did, and then, oh my God,
it's like,
I
but
have
I'm
to
not
admit,
them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I think you're right, though. It's like, that is exactly what would happen um, at a regular show. I took some vocal lessons. I'm like, was that last year, the year before? I don't even remember now. And it was really helpful for me. But there was tons of that where, I'm sorry, some of the people, it was awful. And everybody was like, wow, you're wonderful. And I was like, this isn't helping them, though. Like, if we're actually here to learn, this is not helpful.
Exactly.
Like,
And that is the thing. Now I have to stop myself before I drag into, because that was a topic that I've discussed a lot with one of the greatest professors I ever had in my life. And she told me, I had 5 semesters of sociology, social studies, I think is the English term of it. That is the huge problem that social media gave us. Social media told us that a new way of a value system and of a discussion culture. We, like, if you look at the beginnings of Facebook and now the same with Instagram and all this other shit, there is only the first and primary form of a direct communication via social media is positive. It's a like. There's no dislike button. Facebook doesn't have, like, they started this angry thing when you can,
yeah,
like, but even on Instagram, there is no disheart. There
yeah,
is no, so, and a lot of generations have been brought up in a world where the primary form of communication was digital and the primary value exchange system was positive. And
yeah,
that is not reality.
yeah,
And that goes now and translates to a terrible, like, I think in music, and this is the only thing I'm going to say judgmental about the music industry, because the music industry is a bunch of, like, this huge load of shit we could dissect and judge people by. But this is like these young guys coming from a big ass 30 years in the business band concert for so much money they paid for. And all they know is gonna be how good it was, how great it was. And then you look at the concert clip they send you, and you're like, this guitar player is out of tune, out of time. The singer can't sing anymore. Like, they're way past anything that is, don't you even hear that? And they don't learn negative criticism. They don't learn how to have an opinion that is not great.
yeah,
And that is frustrating as fuck.
It's an interesting point because we are not, as a culturally in the U.S. and Canada and Europe, we're not good at disagreeing with each other respectfully, obviously.
yeah,
Because there's no forum for that to teach us how to disagree respectfully. Before I was a musician, I was a lawyer, and you go to court and you have to be respectful.
right,
And you inherently disagree, or there wouldn't be a court. So you have to learn to disagree respectfully, and then walk away and be able to go to the bar with the lawyer you just argued against and still be colleagues. You're trained that way.
yeah,
I don't think in our normal society there's any format for that. There's no forum where we are learning to do it right. We're learning to do it wrong. But we're not learning to do it right. Nobody's teaching that. I don't know if we ever did, but I think, for example, in the newspaper era,
yeah,
they would publish the letters to the editor where people would complain and stuff, but they would select those, and they would select the ones that were meaningful and were
right,
educated and were thoughtful.
That helped the discussion.
And it helped it promoted the discussion. And maybe that's where our grandparents learned to disagree a little more diplomatically. I don't know. They had wars too, but whatever. I think people are very quick to go, I thought that.
Yeah.
Well, that's not helpful.
Well, exactly. Or just start
anything.
name calling or something. You're like, but it doesn't
You know
do
what I think
anything.
is worse than people going, fuck that? People
Mhm.
going, oh, great.
That's
That's worse. Because that's what people
Yeah.
do now. You really put your heart and soul into something and you show and you want to present it and you do present it and the moment happens and people are like, ah, and then you're like, so how did you like it? Oh yeah, it was great. I'd rather have someone tell me, dude, this was the worst shit I ever heard. And you're like, so why? Why would you write something like this and play it like this, and then you see, oh, he really listened and thought about what happened. People that go just, oh yeah, it was great, I liked it. Like, this casual like, tick, 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 it means nothing.
This is an interesting topic that you bring up for the relationship issue too.
Yeah.
Because being long distance and being on tour, even when we're in the same country, we're
Yeah.
not together all the time. And we're in loud bars where we can't talk on the phone. So there's a lot of texting.
Mm-hmm.
And texting it can be really dangerous because you don't hear the inflection in the voice.
Yes.
And we have the language issue too, where it's
Right.
like we have to understand what each other are trying to say in these little blips of conversation that we barely read, And I think the world is suffering from that same thing where they read these little tiny blips and there's no emotion and there's no inflection and there's no explanation. And it leads to a lot of miscommunication and disagreement for us too.
Yeah.
And really good at saying, I don't want to text about this. We will talk about it tonight after the show or whatever. And I have to go, okay. I'll wait.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time with that. But I think that's part of how you do a long distance relationship in a healthy way now, is to not let the texting become the only medium.
Yeah.
It's not real.
It's fucking dangerous and it will kill you.
Yeah. See, that's the truth. I know, I agree. I think phone calls are so important, making like dedicated time, right? So if you can, not just like, oh yeah, I'm running errands. Hey, how's it going? Blah blah blah. But like, sit present in the moment.
You
just
have my full attention.
Yeah.
There's a million of good reasons why it's way harder to read a book than to read a tweet. And there's a millions of reasons why it's way harder to listen, to sit in an actual face-to-face conversation and have this attentive listening. Not only just listening and then you blur out your shit. No, attentive listening, try to put yourself in the shoes of the other, blah, 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 blah. There's reasons, and these reasons are good, why that is way harder than just texting anything, And I think there was an interesting study that came out, I think 6 or 7 years ago, that in every second relationship that breaks up in Germany, this is a 10-year-old study, the word WhatsApp or Instagram or Facebook was used.
Really?
Like, extensively. Because, it just goes to show this is not something that is installed, that was created to strengthen like real valuable and specific personal relationships, social relationships. You see why they have such a hard time of how to handle social media in elections. Yeah, well, because a tweet can never explain a whole law that is written in paragraphs and in books and books and books that have been dissecting society and extracting the values and putting them down over hundreds of years. So, and the challenge is, sure, some people would argue, but they should be able to. Yeah, they should be able to, but you have to be actually really educated and thoughtful and whatever to be able to not hurt someone or to misportray something or whatever in a tweet or a post or a picture,
And that goes to the whole wellness thing completely. It really does. I mean, like you said, you need that dedicated time. You need the active listening. You need the face-to-face. You need the emotion. And I think even with my bands and my managers, everything's done by text, group threads and stuff. And we're hardly ever in the same room. So it's really nice to be with somebody who strongly believes that being in the same room is still important. I was just at a show and I heard somebody say, I really like being somewhere with someone. That is such a basic concept, but we don't do that,
No, we don't do enough of it though, right? And and really just being there. And, because you can go all over the place, but are you really there?
And what maybe is the last point to get to that is, nobody expects or should expect, and you yourself shouldn't expect to know how to do this right. Sometimes it takes someone to tell you some stuff. I haven't been to my first underground rock and roll concert by myself and saw, oh shit, there's not any of this here. There's like so much underground stickers, and I know what they mean, and I know what this means, and I know what it means that this band is playing here. And no, you need people to introduce you to that, and that needs direct and analog and real communication.
Analog.
Somebody
Analog
needs to go and touch you, and
Yes.
and you yourself need to learn. Oh, I have to learn something. You have to be the first to be like, I have to learn something, and I have to be open to somebody coming in and telling me something. And social media is not doing that. Social media is just giving you a pre-selected opinion, and you can choose from it and adapt it and just throw it right back out, and people will respond to it in a positive way, and you say, all right, that's me now. No, it's not how it should work.
And I think also it's lacking in the online relationship world. That, like, I have a 16-year-old nephew.
Right.
And if you ask him, do you have a girlfriend or whatever, boyfriend, he'll say, yeah, I've got 8. They're all online. It's like it doesn't, that's a whole new world that we didn't live. But, it's lacking. And all of that is just, when one of us is upset, without even saying a word, you can
feel it.
Just be there.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to portray online, that you're just there listening, and you get it, and it's there's no substitute. So
no,
that's part of the wellness too.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we should all embrace our analog relationships.
Embrace our analog relationships. Yes.
They're kind of,
especially when you're in a transatlantic relationship.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's especially when you have those times to be.
You would know,
not so
right?
digital.
Ashley.
I know. So what would your top tips be for somebody who's in a long distance relationship?
Our top tips.
Yeah.
Fly a lot.
Yeah. Frequent flyer points. Yeah. Okay.
Make money. Go make some money to buy plane tickets.
Plane tickets. But yeah, I think the avoiding the text. The death by text is key, because that's going to happen if you rely on texting as your primary source of talking. It's going to go the wrong direction eventually. And so my top tip that I've learned from him, even after all my life of doing things online, I'm learning for the first time how much better the world is when you don't get sucked into that as much. And you make the time for the analog relationship, whether that's even just by phone. You got to hear the voice. You got to see the face. It's important.
Yeah, I think I agree, of course. And a tip would probably be zoom out. Sometimes you got to zoom out and put things in perspective. Like, if you're having a hard time and you're in a bad space, in a bad place, just zoom out and remember, like, is this only a moment right now? Is it a bad hour? Is it a bad day? Is it a bad week? and then zoom out and remember what were the last months. Have they all been like that? And it's just basic thinking that sometimes we have this German saying that says, you don't see the woods from the trees.
We have that too.
You have that too. Okay. Yeah. It translates, and that goes to show that it's saying that applies for so many different languages, and it goes across countries, because it is just that. Sometimes you have to zoom out just as much as you sometimes have to zoom in and just realize, okay, this is my tree. It's right here. It's there. It's strong. It's solid. And sometimes when the tree is not good or whatever, it's breaking, it's rotten, it's whatever, it's just a tree. Zoom out. You're in the forest. The forest is you, not,
I think we spend a lot of time in long distance relationships feeling sorry for ourselves, going, "Oh, you're so far away. This sucks.
I miss you." Yeah.
This day was so hard. I didn't have you to talk to. But he's right. If you take a step back and go, you have somebody out there. It's amazing. How often does this happen in the world where you connect with somebody? We should be so grateful that they're out there and just focus on the gratitude of that. It really takes you out of the wallowing pretty fast.
Yeah, and another tip is get yourself some stuff and get your partner stuff. Like if you have a little bracelet with the initial of your partner on it and you wear it, it reminds you. It just reminds you.
That's true. And keeping little things around. Okay, I have this little necklace that I wear, and that's from David. But I wear it every single day, and it's just little thing, but I love it. Exactly. Yeah.
I got Nicole's space needle from Seattle right here on the
his tattoo
on the ankle.
Oh, so cool. Oh yeah, I can see.
It's the space
I love the space needle.
Club where we've been together in Seattle, we got a stamp from the club, and it was an anchor, and she put it right here, and I was like,
Yacht Club.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that would be a nice tattoo, And 1 month later, when she did her debut show for the Black Viiolet thing, she asked me since I'm already coming over, because I felt like coming over, and she asked me if I could open it up with 3 or 4 songs. So
he opened my debut show.
So we put the space needle on top of the anchor, which was the initial stamp for the club where we play. So it's like the stamp of the original club where we first had our first thing together. So it kind of reminds me of that too. It's going to be there.
That's so sweet, though. And that's it. Yeah, you carry, when you're apart, you carry them with you through everything, right? And you're right. They're just there. And I think that's
there. They know they're there. They're not with you, but they're there.
Yeah. One thing, I don't know if you guys do this, but one thing we do is send cards to each other a lot.
We just talked about
this. We just talked about that. We should be doing that.
And the secret thing, when he goes home, he'll hide a card somewhere in my room. And it's the cutest thing ever. And every time I open it, and then I have a big cry.
Just between the two of us now.
Right.
I have hidden stuff in her home that she hasn't found yet.
Really?
But whatever.
No, sometimes it's little things.
No, but
she found one lately. But
I'm very impressed by David. That's impressive that he does that.
Yes, he's very, very impressive. I'm sure he's going to listen to this too, because he always does. So
better.
Yeah, duh, he will. But it's it's so sweet. And then you have those extra little reminders where you're oh, you were thinking of me. Or sometimes when you haven't found them straight away, you're oh, I really needed that today. And it gave that little extra boost. And,
Analogue stuff.
Analogue. Oh my God. Best. It's the best description. Analogue relationship. The whole episode. Analogue. Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, it's gonna be it's a new hashtag. It's ours now.
Analogue love.
Ironically, Analogue has a hashtag, but okay.
Well, yeah, but with relationships though, analog relationships.
Yeah.
It's very special. Yeah. Oh. Well, I'm so excited that you guys could be here today and we could talk all things magic, love, music, and growth. It's
Thanks for having us.
So nice. It's so nice to be able to talk about it because nobody ever asks us this stuff. So that's cool.
Well, here I am. Tell your friends.
Right.
And, so I can't wait to see you in London, Nicole. And are you guys both going to be there, perchance, maybe?
Unfortunately, he's going to be on tour himself while I'm doing the UK stuff.
Mm.
So that's another example. It just happens,
But it's just a matter of time until I'll hit London soon, I think, too.
Yeah.
It's too cool of a city to not play.
Well, exactly. That's just it. London's pretty amazing, so you should definitely be over here. And so, if people want to find you online, where's the best places to give you a follow and check you out?
For me, it's the Darts US and Black Viiolet. Violet has 2 eyes.
2
Black
eyes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with me, it's basically also everywhere. Just I think if you type in Sebastian Dracu, it's Dracula without an L and an A.
Okay. Yeah.
He's actually Romanian. Like he's actually Dracula is the whole thing.
So I think you can find it anywhere. It's just Dracu wherever on YouTube.
Like Instagram and everywhere. Facebook, all this business. We'll put links to everything. And yeah, I'm very happy for you too. And thank you again for taking your time to be here today.
Thank you, Ashley.
We'll see you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us today on the Healthy Metal Hippie podcast. If you're looking for more, head to healthymetalhippie.com and let's connect. Until next time, wishing you a magical week. See you later.